From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula has a variety of means of communicating and inciting individuals, whether that be websites or emails or other types of things. And so there are a number of occasions where individuals, including Mr. Awlaki, has been in touch with individuals.
As John Brennan's confirmed to head the CIA, we examine the U.S. drone strike that killed American citizen Anwar al-Awlaki, September 2011. Then, 2 weeks later, another strike killed his Denver-born 16-year-old son. We'll host a discussion with New York Times reporter Scott Shane, who at the front page New York Times piece Sunday headlined How a U.S. Citizen Came to Be in America's Crosshairs, and Jesselyn Radack, former State Department legal ethics advisor. Then today marks the second anniversary of one of the worst atomic disasters in history. It was March 11, 2011, when a massive earthquake triggered a devastating tsunami that struck Japan, triggering a meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear power plant.
Take nuclear energy completely offline, and I want the government to make a complete changeover to natural energy sources for the nation.
We'll go to Japan, where thousands mark the disaster's anniversary by marching in opposition to nuclear power. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Tensions between the U.S. and Afghan governments are again on the rise amidst disputes over the transfer of authority and of alleged abuses linked to U.S. forces. On Sunday, Afghan President Hamid Karzai said the U.S. and the Taliban have resumed peace talks in Qatar after they broke down last year. Karzai suggested both sides have tacitly colluded to destabilize Afghanistan to justify perpetual conflict and their long-term presence. Karzai's comments coincided with a visit to Afghanistan by Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel. Hagel denied Karzai's claims of U.S. Taliban negotiations.
I told the president it was not true that the United States was unilaterally working with the Taliban and trying to negotiate anything. The fact is, any prospect for peace or political settlements, that has to be led by the Afghans.
Tensions further escalated over the weekend after the U.S. canceled plans to transfer full control of the Bagram prison to Afghan forces. The cancellation came days after Karzai criticized the U.S. for stalling the transfer and vowed to release many prisoners upon assuming control. The U.S. had previously halted a prison transfer last fall after Karzai vowed to hold trials for prisoners rejecting U.S. demands for indefinite detention. In his rebuke of the U.S. on Sunday, Karzai also cited the case of an Afghan college student who claimed he was badly beaten by CIA-backed Afghan forces. The student, Abdul Qayyum, says he was taken to a U.S.-run prison and repeatedly punched and whipped with a cable. An apparent U.S. drone strike in Pakistan has left at least 2 people dead. The attack would be the first confirmed U.S. strike in Pakistan's North Waziristan region in 2 months. Last week, the Obama administration denied responsibility for a pair of strikes inside Pakistan a month ago. Venezuela's called an election for April 14th to choose a successor to the late President Hugo Chavez. On Friday, Chavez was laid to rest at a funeral ceremony in the capital, Caracas. His chosen successor, acting President Nicolás Maduro, delivered the eulogy.
Because Comandante Chavez had the most powerful shield inside of him that a human being can have, his purity, his truthfulness, his love of Christ, a real son of Christ. It saved him from insults, from infamy, and here he is unbeaten, pure and transparent, unique and real and alive forever, for all times, for this time and all other future times. Comandante, they couldn't with you, they couldn't ever with us. They never will.
Latin American leaders in attendance included Rafael Correa of Ecuador, Evo Morales of Bolivia, Cuba's Raul Castro, Brazil's Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, Chile's Sebastián Piñera, and Colombia's Juan Manuel Santos. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko and Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad also attended. The Obama administration sent no senior officials, dispatching former Congressmember William Delahunt and Congressmember Gregory Meeks. Hugo Chávez's burial and the announcement of the April 14th election immediately set off a war of words between acting President Maduro and rival candidate Enrique Capriles. Just hours after Chávez was laid to rest, Capriles accused Maduro using the late president's death for political gain.
This is a completely spurious swearing-in. Nobody elected Nicolas Maduro as president, and I will say it here. I knew the statement would be made. Nicolas, nobody elected you president. The people didn't vote for you. The people will judge those who have used the death of the president for electoral ends.
Capriles lost Venezuela's last presidential race to Hugo Chávez in October, shortly before Chávez's cancer returned. Responding to his challenger's accusations, Maduro blasted Capriles' wealthy background and vowed to continue Chávez's democratic socialist agenda.
I need the support of the people. I need the support of the revolutionary forces. I need the support of the noble people of this country. There is no bourgeois here, nor a child of the bourgeois here, nor a man full of vanity, nor of personal ambition. Here, there is a man of the people who joined Chávez and is here with him until the last breath of my life.
Here in the United States, new figures show the official unemployment rate has hit a more than 4-year low. The Labor Department says the U.S. added 236,000 jobs last month, bringing the jobless rate down to 7.7%. It's the lowest unemployment figure since December 2008. Colorado lawmakers have advanced a new package of gun control measures spurred by the state's mass shootings in Aurora last summer and in Columbine over a decade ago. In a marathon session, Colorado's state Senate advanced proposals including universal background checks, barring guns from domestic abusers, and restricting the size of gun magazines. If given final approval, the measures would constitute some of the toughest gun laws in the country. South Dakota, meanwhile, has become the first state to legally allow teachers to carry firearms in class. On Friday, the Republican governor, Dennis Daugaard, signed into law a measure that allows individual school districts to decide whether teachers can be armed. Georgia's state Senate, meanwhile, is now taking up a similar bill that would strike down bans on guns in bars, churches, and colleges. New figures show U.S. gun ownership per household is on the decline. A survey by the New York Times shows while 50% of households owned a gun in the 70s, the figure today is 34%. Other studies have reported a smaller decline, with the number at 43%. 2 Saudi Arabian human rights activists have been sentenced to at least 10 years behind bars. Mohammed Fahd al-Khattani and Abdullah Hamad, founders of the banned Saudi Civil and Political Rights Association, were convicted of sedition and of using Twitter to criticize the U.S.-backed Saudi regime. In a statement, the Gulf Forum for Civil Societies denounced the sentences and called for the activists' immediate release. Uhuru Kenyatta has been declared the winner in Kenya's presidential election, narrowly edging out Raila Odinga. The International Criminal Court indicted Kenyatta in 2011 for allegedly funding militia attacks on political opponents. One of the suspects in the gang rape and death of a 23-year-old woman in India has committed suicide in his jail cell. The rape victim, Jyoti Singh Pandey, was attacked on a moving bus in New Delhi in December, dying from her injuries 2 weeks later. On Sunday, Indian police said one of the 6 suspects, Ram Singh, hung himself in his cell. The 5 other suspects are currently on trial. On Friday, Jyoti Singh Pandey was honored posthumously in Washington with the State Department's International Women of Courage Award. Secretary of State John Kerry paid tribute to Pandey at the ceremony.
Over the next 2 weeks, she became aware of the growing movement that was supporting her and the outrage and indignation ignited around the world. As she fought for her life, she decided to fight for justice, too. She defied her doctors and the culture of silence, giving 2 detailed accounts of her attack that the police used to arrest her rapists. Her bravery inspired millions of women and men to come together with a simple message: no more.
On the eve of the ceremony, the State Department dropped an Egyptian activist from its list of recipients. Samira Ibrahim was initially named, along with the 9 other International Women of Courage honorees. Ibrahim gained notoriety in 2011 for speaking out against sexual violence by Egyptian forces, revealing she and other women had been subjected to so-called virginity tests. But the U.S. withdrew the honor over Ibrahim's reported comments critical of Israel on Twitter. Ibrahim has said her Twitter account was hacked. An African-American teenager has been shot dead by 2 plainclothes police officers in Brooklyn. 16-year-old Kimani Gray was walking down a street in the New York neighborhood of Flatbush when the officers approached him in an unmarked car. The officers got out to approach Gray and opened fire when they claimed they saw him reach for his gun. Gray was carrying a revolver, but one witness reported police didn't properly identify themselves and said Gray likely didn't know they were police. Gray had been attending a baby shower with a group of friends. He died of multiple gunshot wounds in the leg and stomach. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm in. Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.